Hi, welcome to Norwegian Newcomers, a podcast where you will hear fragments from the lives of Norway's immigrant population. Today's episode will be kind of special because for the first time we are doing this interview and conversation with my dear guest Gladys online. Since the new restrictions and the corona situations is as it is, we won't talk much about that because I guess we are all a bit tired of talking and living in this corona time. But because of that, we are doing this online. Thank you for being with us and welcome, Gladys, again.
Thank you, Vedrana. My pleasure to be here.
And my pleasure to hear that someone's saying my name correct with a nice dialect.
Well, that makes me happy.
Okay, we are starting with the happiness. That's nice. Tell me, please, first, how are you? Are you finding this a little bit strange, being online, not live?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't expect that I'm not gonna be able to be seen by you because now I'm just seeing your beautiful face with the eyeglasses and the Marius Genser, and but I mean, we'll just have to, to use what we have.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, for me, it's fine. As long as I hear you clearly and you hear me clearly, I think it's more than enough.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I mean, my name is Gladys, and well, my whole name is very long. It's Gladys Mariano Alejandro Juarez. It sounds very Spanish, but yes, I come from, a Spanish colony country, which is the Philippines. So I am 36 years old, and I've been living in Norway I'm actually turning 10 years this year in September.
Oi,
Yes.
jubilee.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I'm a full-time nurse. So, yes, I've been doing the vaccine and all the mask and everything that's been happening to the world right now. And yeah, I mean, I live in Oslo, and I'm married to a man who's also, by the way, half Norwegian and half American. So,
Oh, that's nice. That's the
yes,
nice, yeah, nice mix.
yes. He's my husband. We speak 100%, like if not 100%, 101% in the house, American. But when we're outside, and of course, definitely when we're fighting, we speak Norwegian. I don't know why. I don't know why.
So you're managing because you're fluent in the region, I guess.
I mean, I think so, but there's always a place for learning. But I think I am. I think so.
I would say if you're managing to fight
Yes, that's
verbally
true.
to
That's
fight for
true.
yourself on, then it's yeah. I hope I'll get to that level one day. But Gladys, please tell me, give me some hints, some tips that I should know or that you are finding interesting to know about your country.
Oh, wow. 7,107 islands. Like, it's difficult. It's difficult to really choose why you should go to my country. And we actually speak, yeah, we speak 100, about an average of 175 different dialects. These are different dialects. They're not like, in Norway, we say we have a dialect, 175 plus minus. So when we say dialects, not like Norway, when you go to Stavanger, Kristiansand, Tromsø, Oslo, they have their dialect, but they still understand each other. But in my country, 175, that's totally different. So we have to use our mother tongue, which is Tagalog or Filipino. Some people say Filipino or Tagalog, for us to be able to really understand each other. And at the same time as well, we speak fluent English because we were also colonized by the US, which, is both thank you and no thank you. But I think it's more like to, that we appreciate that to what happened to our country. But at the same time, there's so many there's so many things and part of the culture that just, just were erased and eradicated because of the colonization of so many countries. So, I mean, my country has probably the nicest beaches in the world, and it's always been in, travel leisure, top destinations. If you love diving, if you love coconuts, if you love seafood, if you love the warmth, if you love cheap beers or cheap rum or cheap brandy, then definitely my country has so much to offer. Like, I can't even tell you enough, like just from my region alone, because I'm from the north. And because the north is very different from the south, from the east, from the west. Geographically, it's very different. Also, food wise, it's very different. People wise, language wise, terrain wise, it's all so different.
Almost everything is a different country.
Yes, yes, that's very true, because we are all separated, like islands to islands to islands. And for example, from the north, I'm from the north. Just for example, the north, we are more, how would I say it? We are more like the mulatto type. Like, we are like brown, like the combination of like super like morena brownish golden in skin. Well, in the south, they're very light, because that's where the Spanish people way back 1521, set sail. That's where they had, married, and of course, I'm sure not just marriage, but abused some women and made some kids and families. So it's very, very different. Like, and also the type of nature that we have. I don't know why, because we're just in the same country, but I think it's all because of the positioning of these islands, to how close they are to the water. Although again, we are also surrounded by water. So I can't tell you enough, Vedrana. Like, I can just tell you that my Norwegian friends who has been there, they just can't wait to go back again. It's like every year we travel, and it's so difficult to come back to Norway, of course. But
So, what are the Norwegians' favorite meal in Philippines?
oh my God.
Or yeah, what I should choose once.
Oh my God. When it comes to food, because as I told you, the first, group of people who really colonized us, are of course the Spaniards. So they were there for almost 400 years.
Okay, yeah.
That's the reason why 30% of our language is Spanish. And then, so our food, culture, religion, beliefs is mainly from Spain. And then came, of course, the Chinese, the Japanese, and then came the American, which introduced us to the burger and fries and Coke, of course. But I would definitely say that our cuisine is in between Spanish and Chinese. I mean, oh my God, you've interviewed.
What's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal would be definitely every Filipino's favorite is the adobo.
Adobo.
Adobo is a Spanish word which means marinated, and it's you can use pork, you can use chicken, you can use actually any kind of meat, and then we just like marinate it with vinegar, some soy sauce, some bay leaf, very simple ingredients, and it's so amazingly good. And it doesn't even need to be in the fridge. Like, it can stay out on your kitchen for 3 to 1 week because of the acid from the vinegar, and it just like preserves the food, that it doesn't like get spoiled. I'm sure if you remember Carlitos, that you also interviewed, a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He knows
Yeah,
that
yeah.
very well. He knows that very well. He will come to my
Okay.
place. He knows I'm gonna make a lot of food. Although we're just 5 people or 6 people, it's always like for 20 or 30 people.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. Then I'll
so
invite all of you here, and then you can make some food.
that's true. And yeah, I mean, it's just a mixture of vinegar, a really, really good Asian, preferably Filipino soy sauce, some bay leaf, lots of lots of garlic, some whole peppercorns, and optional, of course, chili, and that's it. That's basically it.
Gladys, tell me how Norway shows up in your picture, in when and how you decided to move to Norway.
Good question. You know what, to be honest, even when I was I think I was in high school, I didn't even know that there's a country called Norway,
Not at
you
all, yeah.
know? Not at all. I think if I remember it right, I think I knew that there was a country, Sweden, but never Norway. But the story is I actually started I migrated from my country, the Philippines, when I was 23. Yes, I was 23 years old, and you know, I wanted to travel. And then my sister, my elder sister actually, she was already working in Denmark.
Hmm.
So she's 3 years older than me, and then she told me like, "Do you want to come to Denmark?" And I was like, "I mean, why not?" And I was like, I felt like I had this need to go out from my country, although it was very, very difficult, of course. I was very unsure, and it was my first time to be away from my parents. And, I was very close to my dad. And then at the same time, I was like, you know what? I got to do it because I might regret it. And so she actually found a job for me in Denmark. So I started in Denmark 2009, December. I came to Denmark. It was freezing. I came to Denmark. My sister told me you don't have to, bring some clothes because you have clothes. And of course, she didn't, pick me up at the airport in the middle of winter night. And I came with my doll shoes. Like from the Philippines to Denmark, I had doll shoes on me. So it was so freaking cold. And so, yes, I started in Denmark and worked as an au pair. An au pair, it's a French word which means on equal terms. And it is still actually happening in major countries in Europe, I think, especially Scandinavia. The au pair system or exchange
Hmm.
program is very useful, especially for those family couples who are actually working full time and they have kids and they can't really like balance how it is to work full time to have their career at the same time they have kids. So they actually like a lot of people even in Norway actually and Denmark and Sweden and Germany, many choose to have au pairs, as long as of course they can provide this au pair her room, her own food, her transportation, and her basic allowance. So that's where I started. So I was in Denmark for 18 months.
18 months.
Yes, 18 months. But it was very important, even up today, that you have to learn the language. So that was my, in the application of visas and all that, the main reason is cultural exchange for them to be able to know my culture and for me to be able to know their culture, especially their language. So I had to go to school. So I still speak Danish very, very well, I think. And if I want to, when I change, especially when I'm in Copenhagen, because I love taking the Danish boat, it takes me a few hours and then my tongue actually changes into the Danish accent.
So
Yes.
it's easy. But you learned the language while you were working, not before you came to Denmark, but
No,
in
while I
the.
was working as an au
Okay.
pair with
And
this
that was
family.
part of the program. How to say?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's right. So I learned it while I was there for 18 months, and while I was helping them with the kids. It was so nice. Like it was a very nice start for a fresh new young woman coming out from the Philippines, tropical, and then coming to winter country. And I was like, you know what? Oh my God, what am I doing with my life? But then it gradually became better because I was also very open to this culture and I found it so beautiful. And then after my 18 months, I was like, am I ready to go back home? And I spoke to my mom, to my dad, and I was like, you know what? I'm not really ready. And I was then 25. So, and then I was like, I have to find a way. And so I asked my host family if do they know anyone in Norway, because that was already the trend. Like au pairs from Denmark would move to Norway or Sweden or Germany, but then they have to have like a connection.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's the reason why and how you linked yourself from Denmark to move to Norway.
Exactly. So what I did is I remember I was actually done with my contract with this Danish family June, and then I went home just to have a break in the Philippines for like 2.5 months, and then after 2.5 months I was already going back to Norway that time because I found myself a new family, a Norwegian family this time, and that's where I started, and that was 2011. I arrived here September 2011.
In Oslo.
In Oslo, yes, that's in Oslo, correct.
Okay. And then?
And then, so I met my family, my host family, an amazing family. And just so you know, my host family from Denmark and my host families in Norway, we still have a contact, like even up to this day. Like it's been 10 years, 8 years without family, and we call each other. Sometimes, the kids that I used to take care of, now they're like taller than me, and like, so now I would sometimes meet them before Christmas, but because of this corona this year I wasn't able to do anything because of course it's not allowed. But the past few years I would bring them out, and then it would be like the big sister bringing them out to the Skretteberg in Skippergata in Karl Johan, and we would eat at the restaurant. It's just so nice.
It's really important how the experience that we are having in some particular moments in our life, because I really can refer on that, living 2 years with a family that are really good.
Yeah, most definitely. I find it so beautiful, and I feel so lucky that I actually managed to find two amazing Norwegian families. Why two? Because the first family, when I arrived 2011, they already had their kids were already like grown up in a way, because the rule says like you can only have an au pair if you have kids under 18 years old.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Okay.
their kids one was already 13, and he was already very very responsible. One was 12, one was 9, so they were like, maybe it's about time. And I was their number 6 au pair, so ever since they were small they've had au pairs. So and then the mother said, maybe it's about time that the kids needs to learn how to help in the house, how to fold their clothes, how to cook, like all that things.
To be
So
independent, and yeah.
yes, so I was with the first family 10 months, and then they gave me, of course, like a warning, Gladys, and we're sorry, we really like you, but the kids need to be more independent, it's for their own good. And I was like, of course, totally fine.
That's the
So
process,
you know
yeah.
what, yeah, but the thing is, I thought it would be difficult for me to find another family, because by the time I can only have 2-year contract as an au pair. That's it. 2 years, you have to go out of Norway, or if you want to study or marry or all that. And I was like, oh my god,
Yeah, the way.
yeah, I still have. So I still had like more or less 11, 12 months, and I was like, what am I gonna do? So, but it was actually very quick, because by the time, so it was already 2012-ish, it was already like there's so many Norwegian couples that are in need of help. The career is just skyrocketing, and they're making babies, and then I found this couple. They live in actually Yard, and beautiful, amazing couple as well. I was their first au pair. First, I was their first, and actually the last. Yeah, I was their first and last. Not because they didn't like the au pair system, but the woman, I think she got tired of working, and she said, like, you know what? I'm just gonna be home. I'm just gonna do something that I love. So she changed from, she used to work in this very, very big telephone company for many, many, many years. And she said, like, you know what? I'm gonna quit. I'm just gonna be a photographer. And that's what she did, even up to this day.
Run away from corporation.
Yeah, and that's what she's doing now. Like, she's still taking pictures, and she's like living her life at home and making money. It's like, and she's taking care of
the
her
way
kids.
she like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's full respect. That's
No, it's amazing.
was that the last family that
Yes, that's the last family. That's correct. And then how did I continue? Well, Mr. Cupid actually arrived. I think it
I'm
was
hit.
like, yeah, the last year of my au pair year. I of course I was learning Norwegian, because that's of course a part of the au pair program. And then I met my classmates, and they're from Latin America. And then I had my birthday party coming, and then I told them, "Hey, you guys, do you want to come to my birthday party?" And then they said, "Oh, of course, we want to come to your birthday party." And so they came, and without me knowing, they actually invited my husband without me knowing. So
Okay.
I was just seeing this guy walking in front of my kitchen, and I was like, "Oh my God, who is this guy?" But not to mention, of course, I was like, who is this guy? Of course, I was interested. I was like more interested than being scared. Like, who is this guy
Yeah.
knocking
Yeah.
to my
Yeah. Yeah.
door? So that's where actually I met my husband, and now we've been married for we got married here in Norway 2014, and we're turning 7 years this year. And but I met him almost 8 years ago, 2013. So and that's how the life just continued. And then I got married, and then I was like, what am I gonna do with my life? So first thing, I worked in a bank here in Oslo bus terminal. I worked there for almost 4 years, and then I was like, okay, what's next? And then, you know what, I gotta do something, maybe more productive, like future wise, like when it comes to pension, to benefits and all that. So I started actually thinking, maybe I should study. And so I studied another bachelor here in Norway. So I took the Bachelor of Nursing here, and then I finished last 2018. So I've been a nurse in Norway for almost 3 years now.
Yeah, but that's really nice. You were open and exactly what finding the
Yeah,
way how
yeah,
it's the for yourself for your future the best way to.
yeah.
I'm glad to hear because I'm 40 and plus. I'm starting thinking to start some studies here.
I mean, it's
So
never too late. It's
I
never
I
too
really
late.
believe in that and we are working. Yeah, I
And you have
wouldn't
to
be
know.
surprised. Yeah, yeah.
And you have to know, Vedrana. This was never planned. It just came along. I was thinking, what am I gonna do? Like, maybe I should study or something like that. And I never ever thought, not even in my worst nightmare, that I will be a nurse. Like me, nurse? No. But then I I've always been this like a fighter, because way back in the Philippines, I went to law school, and then
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I was just, a silly girl, and I didn't really manage to finish the law school, but I went to pre-law school, and then I went to law school, and then I said to my mom and dad, like, that's it, I'm done with the school. I'm going out. I'm going to Denmark, and then, do something crazy with my life. So I never really expected or hoped that I will be a nurse. And then when I came here, all plans and all, you know, career just changed.
We never know what is on the next corner, so
Mm-hmm.
it's the way. But that's why I would like to just to go back when you were young or younger. You're still young, but so you wanted to, you just had that nerve kind of or impulse that you want to go outside and
Mm-hmm.
discover the world. Was that
Mm-hmm.
the main engine
Yes, yes.
in?
And my sister, because my sister, if you remember, she was already in Denmark. She said, like, I mean, this is a great chance for you, and you could fulfill your dreams and all that. And I was definitely first persuaded. Of course, in the Philippines, although it's a very still in a third world country, and it's very rich in its culture and what it could offer, but it's still a very, very poor country. It's a lot of
Yeah,
corruption,
yeah.
not to mention. And I told my sister, you know what, I'm gonna do it, because it was actually her who pushed me to dream bigger. And I'm so actually, glad that she did push me. And I can't be thankful enough for her, because now I'm here, and I'm just like loving my life, and appreciating everything I have and I don't have, of course. And it's yeah, I'm just, but at the same time, I am a very ambitious woman. I am, like, as I told you, I've always been a fighter. I went to law school because I wanted to fight for the poor people who doesn't have, money to get a lawyer. So I wanted to be a pro bono lawyer, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
that was like my character. Like, I am an ambitious woman, and just by telling you ambition, like, as I told you, I've never think or considered being a nurse, but because I was ambitious, so I took nursing, and here I am. I'm a nurse.
And how are you satisfied? How the system of or now we can talk about since that you are in institution, I
Hmm.
guess, in some of the hospitals, is that is that organized well? Is that what's your opinion?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I love? Actually, I never thought that I would really like being a nurse, but I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, I love being a nurse. And I keep telling my colleagues and my husband that, you know what, I am so thankful that I took that day, I chose to be a nurse. Because when I got the offer from
Mhm.
Samordna Opptak, they told me you have, I think, like 10 days frist, like you have like a
To
deadline to
decide.
say
Ah,
takia to the offer or no. And I was like, oh my God, am I really going to be a nurse? Because my priority was to become a pedagogue, in Barnehage, like a teacher, because I had the experience as an au pair. But then I was like thinking, like, for practical reasons, it's safer if you're a nurse. You can work anywhere in the world, not just in Norway, And so I took that, and I'm so glad. And if you ask me if I'm satisfied with the system, if you really meant, the Norwegian system, like, as for me being a nurse, there are, of course, things that I don't like. And
it could be improved, I guess.
yeah, it could be definitely improved, but at the same time, it's also a result of the new set of people living in this country. There's a lot of, like, challenges, for example, when it comes to to how, non-Norwegians and Norwegians cooperate with each other. There's definitely a lot of, like, barriers when it comes to language, cultural beliefs, definitely religion. And but at the same time, if you really want to work well with your colleagues, for example, at my work, I am responsible for the environment, how, not just for my patients, but at the same time among us, like, those who work between nurses and nursing assistants. And
Team, yeah.
it's very, yeah, it's very interesting, because I just had this topic about today, because I have nursing students in praxis, they're on their training. And I actually did tell her that, because I love making food, I love feeding people. It's just in my DNA that I gotta feed people, because I become so happy.
Yeah.
Carlitos knows that, and also Walter.
Yeah, yeah.
And and so I was like, so I've been working now in this institution where I'm working for almost 3 years, and I can tell you, Vedrana, that I actually managed to make this very nice, almost like a family relationship with my colleagues, and definitely our patients, through food.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
Because
connection.
it breaks barriers. Like, food, wherever you are, whatever color you have, whatever language you speak, you will come together through food.
Yeah. What I'm guessing that so there's patients are their backgrounds are I guess so mixed, but also your co-workers, your friends on
At
your
work.
colleagues,
Yeah.
that they are also from I
Different
guess
countries.
different.
Different
Yeah,
countries. Like, some also from your country, a lot
yeah,
actually, and
yeah.
many as well from my country, and definitely Norwegians as well. And very multicultural, arbeidsmiljø, as we say. So no, it's actually a beautiful mix, because we learn from each other's, like, culture. Like, for example, I have this colleague, her name is Lina, and I love her so much. And I, every day when I work with her, and she's very ethnic Norwegian, And every day when I work with her, I learn something new. That, for example, in my country, yeah, like since we are now talking about Norway and the differences in the culture, cultural challenges. I am from the Philippines, and saying no is definitely a no. Like, we always say yes. We are like yes people. Like, we would always like follow. We will always say, we cannot say no, because it's this mentality, same like, basically it's like the mentality of becoming, or the state of being a slave, because we were a slave under the Spanish people, under the American people, and also a little bit from the Chinese people and Japanese. It's almost like the same mentality, for example, for Africans being, like enslaved as well, that you can't really complain. You cannot. You can just take whatever that comes to you. You should just
That
be
you don't have
thankful.
rights to.
Yes,
Yeah.
example. You should just be thankful for what you take. But, of my 10 years being here, I must say that I have learned so much that, you know what? I can actually say no. I can say no. You know what? I'm not saying no, but then maybe we should try this way. And these colleagues, and definitely my host families, when I was still an au pair, I was so blessed that I learned so much from them. And it was a little bit difficult in the start, in the beginning, because as I said, we are used to just saying yes and never say no. But at the same time, I got to learn from what I've been seeing, what I've been experiencing, and definitely my husband too, because my husband is definitely like, no, if you're not good with it, if you're not satisfied, you have to tell it. You have to be open, like, things like that. And so that's what actually helped me to becoming more. I'm not saying that I'm already, or like for norsket, we say it like I'm already super Norwegian, which I'm not, and I will never be. I will never be. I'll always be. A part of me is definitely very Filipino. But I could also say that I think I would safely say that I'm very 50-50. So I'm 50% Norwegian, I'm 50% Filipino in my mentality. That, there are things that I have to keep bringing with me from my country, but at the same time, there are so many things that I have to, start doing now, or I've started doing for a long time, that comes from the Norwegian culture. And I think it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. You don't have to choose one side, you just have to be you. And at the same time, if you find it very useful and beautiful to have both sides, why not?
What would you say that the things that you just needed to change or to adopt, to take from the Norwegian society?
Yes, there's this one specific, like a character of the Norwegian culture, or the Norwegian people, that I love. Like, I love. One thing that I have never really like realized when I was still in the Philippines, or even now, if I'm like just thinking back when I was still there, just having my Filipino culture, that is, when people actually interact with each other, and then they would say something to you that, a normal, Filipino would say that that is a judgment. But for Norwegians, that is not a judgment. You should not take it as a critic, because critic can be positive, critic can be negative. But many people, in the rest of the world, a critic is always negative. For example, my country, like, it becomes like personal. And but I gotta tell you, Vedrana, I worked my butt off to really like find where is the grenze to what is a negative critic, and what is like a healthy argument. And that is definitely one of the things that I really, really deeply appreciate in this culture, because you can actually have, you don't have to agree with each other all the time. There's always like, what about this? But then, what do you think about this one? Like, and at the same time, your brain becomes like stimulated. Oh, you know what? I actually didn't think about that. Like, I was, because you were just focused on your personal, ideas, and not knowing that there are far way more, like, and they could come negative, they could come a little bit like tråkke ned, But at the same time, you gotta like balance that. It's not necessarily that they're trying to step on you, they're just trying to, share their ideas that could actually be right. Hmm. That's,
Dialogue.
yes, making a dialogue.
Not to say to you, oh no, your choice is wrong or anything. Just it could be more than one.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I can just give you one example. At work, for example, if a colleague comes to me and she's Norwegian, oh Gladys, you forgot to do this, the for example, just the trash, you forgot to throw the trash, and it's your responsibility today. A normal me, fresh from the Philippines, would you would feel like, oh my gosh, she's complaining about me, like, oh my gosh, she's telling me I'm not doing my job. But for them, it's a common, it's normal. Like, you're just reminding you in a very nice way. But for other people, mostly actually for us utlendingar, we would take that as a negative comment already. And I can tell you, I work, and I'm still working. I'm not saying I'm already there, because it's in my heart, and I don't think it will, it will be gone. But I just gotta find that balance wherein, what, it's just a healthy comment. It's not an attack
Yeah.
to you.
Definitely.
Something like that.
Do you agree? I start thinking, having some experience in seeing Norwegians as a leaders, that they doesn't seem so bossy. As I know on Balkan, when you're a leader, when you have some function, then you feel so empowered.
Hi,
Oh, I'm your
yeah.
boss. I'm going whatever I'm saying. It's.
Yes.
Is it wrong? I don't have that impression with Norwegians, that they don't have.
Same.
Yeah, you tell me. You
It's
have
the
more
same.
experience.
You know what? I've had one, two, three. I have now my third leader at work, and so far, you know what? I have never experienced them being bossy. And you're very right. The same in Asian culture. When you're like in this super high position, you have this like power. Like, I'm gonna give you order. Like, but here, you know what? Thank God, because else that would have been so difficult for us, to tackle, because
We run away
it
from that,
become
or at
yeah
least I just wanted to have that kind of communication.
yeah, that's true. It becomes like it becomes traumatic. It becomes traumatic because you already know that happens in your country, and at the same time it also happens here. It becomes like you have no escape. You will always experience it. But thank goodness, as for my own personal experience, I have never experienced my bosses being so bossy. Like, I can even actually say no to them. Like, you know what? I don't think that's right. I mean, for example, my new boss right now, oh my God, I love her. Like, I could, I could have a very healthy exchange of ideas, like, with my boss. Like, wow, I'm just a nurse and you're my boss. And at the same time, I'm actually entitled to share my points of view to you. And that's just one beautiful thing in this country, like, culture.
I agree, and to have a right to disagree with your boss. I used to work for a Norwegian humanitarian organization on the Balkan, and of course I had bosses. All of them were ladies, and it's easy to get used to that when you are kind of equal at your work and you have your right and your voice, and to speak loud and to disagree. I really appreciate this, that Norway is quite like, not the bossy country.
No,
in a way.
it's very mature. Like, you can be yourself without feeling scared that you actually will be labeled as like complaining, or saying no, or not following orders, something like that.
Yeah, that you can have your integrity, I would
Yeah,
say.
and your identity, because
Yeah,
that is part of your identity, definitely.
that's true. Yeah. Is there more? Sorry, I'm interrupting. I'm just
No,
we
no,
are
no.
talking.
No, definitely. Oh, yes, definitely. Like, and you can also like, I also, we have this word settegrense. But grensesetting can happen to not just at work. You can also do it with your family. You can do it with your husband, your wife, your kids.
Just for
And
English speakers, putting the borders. Is it that, or
yes, exactly.
limitation? Or yeah, yeah,
Limiting like like your border line. Like, there's like lines.
yeah,
Limiting the
yeah.
borders. Like, you have a limit to how much you could say yes, how much you could say no, how much you could, even with families, you can actually say like, oh, can we, come to visit you, or something like that. In my country, if my aunt or my uncle would say, oh, actually, you know what? They don't even give you a message. They just come to you right at your door. Hello, we're here, and then you will be forced to like make some food. Oh, hello, uncle. But in this country, oh, you gotta like make agreement or an avtale that, you know what? Oh, can we come here, or can you guys come here? At the same time, you can actually do like, I'm really sorry because I had made plans, or it just doesn't work. I don't feel well. I'm just not ready to accept visitors, something like that. Like grense setting is definitely one of the things that I adore again in this country. It gives you so much like self power at the same time, but it doesn't have to be bad. Like it just gives you a confirmation that you can actually decide because you want to, and not basing on what other people would feel and what other people would think about you, something like that.
Definitely. But Gladys, is there something or anything that you don't like, that you would say, oh, I really don't like hearing things.
Of course.
I'm curious to hear.
I mean, of course.
Curious to hear.
Of course. I mean, come on, like, I'm for sure. Like I've worked with so many people from Balkan, and I know for sure that we have so many things in common in Asia too. Like, of course, there's so many things I don't like about Norway. It's normal, and I'm sure if they go to my country, they have things that they don't like and love about my country too. Now, if you're going to ask me about what I don't like, is that I still find it very sometimes, even for a person who like me, who's very happy, very open, like really trying to break that barrier. That what, we're dependent with each other. Like, although we're different people, different families, different backgrounds, we are all dependent with each other. No one lives on an island alone. So, but at the same time, I still find it, I've been here for 10 years. Sometimes I still find it like difficult to understand from my own point of view, that sometimes it's hard to make connection. It's almost like people would rather keep this barrier in front of them than to open up, or than to see that there's actually another side of this world, that what, I just gotta open myself up. Instead, they would just be locking themselves, and you could just feel the energy. You could feel it right away.
What do you think? Why is that?
Why? Oof. This might sound very political, but well, I think because I had this discussion with my husband and also with some friends, and they actually told me, and which I do believe, that Norwegians are born to be able to live alone. That they don't need help from other people. They can be independent. Like, they don't need anyone to be dependent on, if you know what I mean. Like, so they're not supposed to be allowed to ask for some help, although technically they ask help in many shapes and forms. So I think that's the reason why. But and also at the same time, definitely for sure, a lot of personal issues, personal experiences, traumas, backgrounds, and of course it's too vast that I can't really count them or see them. But that's the only concrete thing that I think is that they're born to be alone, and they have to manage to be alone, and that they can't ask for help from their neighbor, even if that neighbor lives across the door.
Yeah, and I was thinking, and I'm quite much on the same track. I believe it's in a process of changing. I think a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think so too, actually, because now for the last, many decades, let's just say decades, Norway has opened more, and now there's more intermarriages between many, Norwegian people to non-Norwegian people. And I think it's definitely true that it's becoming less of that. Although I'm sure there's still a lot of that, but I think, and I do hope that it's actually going to open, because the world is changing, and Norwegians are now, most of the Norwegians who are living here are now mixed. And but I totally agree with you that it's becoming more open.
I'm looking forward meeting you.
Oh my God, guys.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
And I unfortunately, Marianne, my editor, she just knocked to give me a sign. She knows I can talk, especially when it's like this, and so pleasant and nice, and hearing really nice, different, or things to hearing. I'm learning from you guys, so I really appreciate that.
And thank you for this wonderful opportunity for us to be able to share our, experiences. It doesn't have to be the same with the rest of the people who has been, living here for 1 or 10 or 20 years, but it's just a pleasure. And thank you so much to you, Vedrana. And I keep saying your name correctly, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really enjoying listening that all, hearing my name correctly.
Yes.
Thank you, Gladys. Okay. Thank you very much. And really, really thank you that you wanted to be part of Norwegian Newcomers.
Thank you, Vedrana. You're so welcome.
Thank you. I wish you all the best, and to see you live soon.